Hello everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honour and a privilege to stand before you today at the Badminton World Federation's Members Forum. We are gathered here not just as members of the global sports community, but as leaders who believe in the power of sports to unite, to empower, and to create a lasting change. That belief is what brings Special Olympics and the Badminton World Federation together in such a meaningful way. My name is Jonathan Deering. I am a son, a friend, a brother, colleague, and most importantly, I'm a proud Special Olympian badminton athlete from Ireland. Special Olympics is a global sports organisation for people with intellectual disabilities, offering opportunities to train, compete, and thrive in sports and in life. Especially in 2019, at the World Summer Games in Abu Dhabi, Special Olympics and the Badminton World Federation signed a memorandum of understanding, forming a global partnership to expand badminton for people with intellectual disabilities such as myself. Since then, this partnership has grown stronger, reaching more athletes, training more coaches, and opening more doors to inclusive sport. Like many of you here today, my sport is badminton. I've been an athlete now for going on 16 years. Over those years, I have trained weekly in my club, competed in numerous competitions, and had the honour of representing my country at the first try at the Special Olympics World Games in Athens. I'm also a Special Olympics health messenger, helping spread the word about how good health can support better performance on and off the court. Like many of you here, badminton has always been a part of my life and part of my family's life too. I started playing when I was just 4 years of age in a badminton club called Catka Juniors. My father also played badminton as well. I grew up watching him play and saw the joy that it brought to him and so many others. He encouraged me, coached me, and supported me to be the best version of myself and my siblings as well. I'm proud to carry on our family tradition in the world of sport, being a badminton player. I play badminton because I love it. It brings me joy, but it's given me so much more than just joy on the court. Badminton has helped me build lasting friendships with my fellow athletes in my local club and community. Being a competitive athlete has taught me how to deal with the highs and the lows of winning and losing. And from those experiences, I found the motivation and confidence to pursue a job I love. Sport gave me the courage to step outside of my comfort zone and try new things that I once never thought possible. Now I want to give back to the next generation, helping the younger athletes, in my experience, and learn and grow more than they have already. And hopefully they get more involved in the sport as well. Badminton has given me the confidence to pass on my knowledge and experience. I started my journey to become a coach in Special Olympics, and one day I hope to proudly stand on the sidelines as Special Olympics World badminton coach. In Ireland, we are fortunate to have a strong relationship with Badminton Ireland, whose president is right over here, Enda. We work together to create more opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities to play. One of those ways we do this is through the inclusive club model, where existing badminton clubs offer Special Olympics programs as part of their club activities. It's a great example of inclusive badminton in sport. Badminton Ireland also supports us by providing officials for our competitions, ensuring that we play in a competitive environment with high standards. So today I want to leave you all with a challenge. Whether you are a federation leader, a coach, or an advocate, please take the next step in making badminton more inclusive in your country. Open the doors to people and athletes with intellectual disabilities. Partner with Special Olympics. Invite us in, and we will help you to play, grow, and belong in badminton in Special Olympics. Together, we can make badminton a truly inclusive sport everywhere in the world. Special Olympics is a huge part of my life. I believe everyone deserves the opportunity to participate in the joy of sport. Badminton has changed my life. It has given me confidence, friendships, and countless of unforgettable moments. I encourage you all to help give another person with an intellectual disability the same opportunities as I have had. Thank you for listening, And thank you to the Badminton World Federation for your leadership, your partnership, and your belief in the potential of every athlete. I would now like to introduce our panel of guests for this session, titled Inclusive Badminton, a spotlight on para-badminton and Special Olympics. Please welcome to the stage John Shearer, Badminton World Federation Head of Continental Development; John Paul St. Germain, Special Olympics International Vice President for Sports Development; Wang Yihan, Special Olympics Ambassador and Olympics World Medalist; Wojciech Dziś, four-time Paralympian; and Fern Gilders, Badminton World Federation Head of Tournament Development.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a good lunch. I hope you all have energy and are ready for this session, which is entitled Inclusive Badminton, Spotlight on Para-Badminton and Special Olympics. And I'd just like to start by thanking Jonathan for sharing his journey and his experiences in Special Olympics with all of you here today. So could we give another round of applause, please, for Jonathan? And then just a little bit of housekeeping in relation to this session. We're adding a Chinese interpretation channel for this session. We have a very special guest in Wang Yihan here, so we're adding channel 6, which will be interpretation into Chinese.
Thank you, John. So while our focus today highlights on the two incredibly important areas of Special Olympics and para-badminton, inclusive badminton actually reaches far beyond that. As Jonathan articulated so beautifully, inclusive badminton is about opening doors for everyone. It's about making sure that regardless of your age or your ability, gender or background or your circumstance, everyone feels like they belong on the badminton court. It's about community, opportunity, and most of all, again, as Jonathan said, it is about a sense of belonging.
So let's get straight into the questions. We have an excellent panel with us today, and we'll try and maximize the opportunity we have to learn and hear from that panel. Starting with you, John Paul, Vice President, Sport Development at Special Olympics International. Since signing that Memorandum of Understanding, we've seen tremendous growth in badminton within the movement. Number of programs is over 100 now, over 130,000 athletes competing, unified partners growing, number of coaches trained growing as well. But it's so much more than just the activity on the badminton court. There's a lot of work going into integration. Could you talk to us a little bit about how you integrate athletes with intellectual disability into all aspects of the organization?
Yeah, thanks, John. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to say anything more than what Jonathan already has testified to in terms of the impact of our program. But yeah, in Special Olympics, inclusion starts through sport. We have a unique divisioning system, and where at our highest levels of competition, we create competitions for all ability levels. Secondly, we offer a unified sports program, an inclusive unified sports program, which brings together players with and without intellectual disabilities, which I'll refer to as IDD, together on teams. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But we believe sport is a classroom for life, and those opportunities that they learn through sport will create opportunities for them off the court opportunities as well. So we have an athlete leadership training program where athletes like Jonathan learn to be spokespeople, self-advocates. They learn communication skills, and we have opportunities like this to present for themselves what the impact of the program is. You'll see in Special Olympics people with intellectual disabilities on our boards, part of our staff members as well. So what we take is what we learn in sport and we transfer that off the court, ensure that our entire organization is inclusive.
Thanks so much, John Paul. The organization's also often described as a sport for development organization. You're working very specifically in the sport development area, but we're aware that there's health, there's education, there's other aspects. Could you talk to us a little bit about Special Olympics as a sport for development organization and how that applies to your work?
Yeah, so I think first, we don't consider our success metrics as to how many people win gold medals. For us, our success metrics is off the court. Are we using sport to change society, to create more inclusive opportunities for people with IDD in everyday life? And that's how we measure our success. So that's the first point of our mission, is to do that. Part of that is then talking about the impact that our program has. And recently in Canada, we did a research study on social return on investment. I think we have a slide on that one that we'll put up there. But we found that people with intellectual disabilities that are involved in Special Olympics, for every dollar invested in a Special Olympics program, there's $8.76 of return. And that return is in reduced healthcare costs and higher productivity. Because we found through sport, people with IDD that are in sport and in Special Olympics have lower rates of depression, lower rates of diabetes, higher confidence, and higher productivity. So everything that we do is intended to have an impact which impacts all of us if we have that type of inclusion and we see those types of reductions.
Great, thanks so much, Jean-Paul.
Wang Yihan, ni hao. Welcome to the session. Very, very happy to have you here with us today. So you ascended to world #1 ranking in 2009. You went on to win the 2011 World Championships and a silver medal in London 2012. Over your career, you secured 19 Super Series titles, making you one of the most decorated women's singles players in history. You announced your retirement in September 2016 and said you were looking forward to new chapters in your life. That's quite an impressive resume. So now I'm sure everybody would like to know, what have you been up to since your retirement?
我现在在大学里面工作，是一名教师，也是给同学学生传授羽毛球的一些相关知识和专业技能。当然，自己也一直在推广羽毛球这项运动。
Thank you very much. We've just heard a little bit from John Paul and Jonathan about the Special Olympics. You also have experience working with the Special Olympics. I think your first one was at the World Games in 2019 in Abu Dhabi. Can you tell us a little bit what that was like for you and why you've remained closely connected with Special Olympics?
在2019年阿布扎比的这个特奥会当中，这是我第一次参加这样的一个活动，也是第一次接触特奥会这个项目羽毛球项目的这些人群。对我来说，也是比较有大的这个意义吧。跟他们之间的交流互动当中，感受到他们对于这个羽毛球的热爱，他们的球技也非常的棒，手感也非常的好，不仅仅说是他们是来参与比赛，同时也能感受到他们对于这个竞技赛场上的这个胜利的渴望，更多的是让他们给我感受他们的这个对于羽毛球这个项目的热爱，之后呢，也感受到他们的快乐在这个里面，对我来说，我觉得有这样的一个社会责任感在里面，希望通过自己的一些影响力、一些力量，能给他们带来更多的正能量。对，从那个之后就一直有关注这一类人群，有一些活动我是一直在积极的参与，希望他们更加的快乐吧。
Thank you very much, Wang Yihan. Thank you.
Okay, turning from Special Olympics to Para Badminton. We continue to have a strong relationship with the International Paralympic Committee. Badminton, for those who are not aware, sits in our new strategic plan under the area growth disciplines alongside air badminton. And that partnership with the International Paralympic Committee is really crucial to a lot of the work we're doing in the continents, in the regions to develop badminton. So we're very pleased to now share a video message from the IPC President, Mr. Andrew Parsons.
Dear friend, President Poetic, dear BWF Council members, dear BWF National Associations, it's a pleasure to be talking to you today about the importance of para-badminton and Paralympic sport in general. A couple of months ago, we were coming out of the success of Paris 2024 Paralympic Games. We had more countries than ever before, more female players than ever before, more broadcasters than ever before, and we reached more countries and more spectators, viewers than ever before. And why this is important? Because the Paralympic Games and the Paralympic sport is in the intersection between entertainment and purpose. The sport has to be exciting. The sport has to make people want to buy a ticket, turn on a TV, go online. But it's also important that our viewers, our spectators, they understand that the Paralympic movement has as its objective something that's a higher purpose, which is the inclusion of persons with disability through sport. So the sport element is fundamental. That's what makes the Paralympic movement and the parasport movement different and more efficient, because it changes perception of people immediately because of their own experience with sport. And I can't think of a better sport than para-badminton for that. It's fast, dynamic. There's a lot of strategy in it. There's a lot of, strength in it. It's a complete sport. And you can play standing in a wheelchair, athletes with short stature, singles, doubles. So I think it's a perfect example in terms of the combination of what the Paralympic movement has to offer society. But in order to change the world, we have to offer a very good sport on the field of play. And that is precisely when we need the international federations. We need the national federations. And we need the national federations to work closely with the national Paralympic committees. Of course, there's no one-size-fits-all approach in here in terms of the funding, in terms of the partnership between the national federations and the NPC, but it's absolutely important that they work together. You are the experts on para-badminton. You are the ones who can develop athletes, coaches, different classifiers, the human resource infrastructure that is necessary to advance the sport in each and every country. And at the same time, the National Paralympic Committee brings these expertise, the purpose part of the development of sport. In some countries, they also bring the funding, and sometimes it's the government. But I believe they're working hand in hand together with the purpose and the sport, delivering the best of each one of them, is that we can drive the Paralympic movement forward and we can develop more and more opportunities for persons with disability through parasport. That's why I strongly encourage each and every one of you to engage with the National Paralympic Committee. We, from IPC, we can of course support that. We can coordinate with BWF and make sure that we make the right introductions, that you meet the right people, and we can put the right structure in place in order for you to develop in your country the best program possible in terms of para-badminton. I look forward to see the best para-badminton players of your country, if not in LA 2028, if you haven't started yet, but for sure in Brisbane 2032. It's an incredible opportunity for persons with disability. It's an incredible opportunity for the growth of para-badminton, which, as I said, it's an incredible, fantastic sport to watch and to practice. All the best. Thank you.
And from a para-badminton perspective, moving from Tokyo 2020, where we had 90 athletes, 14 events, and 28 MPCs, member associations represented. In Paris, we saw an increase. So we had 120 athletes from 31 MPCs competing across 16 events. A total of 10 MPCs reached the podium in Tokyo, but Paris, there were 16 of you that were represented on the podium, which is a fantastic increase.
And one of those athletes is here with us today. Wojtek, welcome. Paris wasn't your first Paralympic Games, but it was your first Paralympic Games in badminton. Could you, for those that maybe don't know you and haven't seen you in the news, which we'll come to later, could you share with us a little bit of your journey into parasport and then particularly into para-badminton and representing New Zealand in Paris last year?
Oh my God, then how much time do we have? Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, to be here and to have been selected to talk about such important topics. Yeah, my personal journey in the parasport started over 20 years ago when I was on the way to become a professional football player and tragically lost my leg and didn't know where to go, which direction in my life. And luckily, I had the right people on my side, guided me into a new sphere in my life, and this was the Paralympic sport. And as a football player, one of my strengths was to be fast, so I was ending up in athletics, and from there I could simply live my passion and live my dedication to the sport and my love to the sport, which ended up for me participating in 3 Paralympic Games in Athens, Beijing and London, and also claiming the Paralympic champion. And after London, I then retired as I had honestly to understand that my body is not the youngest anymore, especially in athletics. And we had also, my wife and I, a project we really loved and funded by ourselves, which called Sailing for Handicaps. And we sold everything we had and we sailed around the world and provided prosthetic aid for people without the financial support, and we donated 90 prosthetic legs. And just before the end of 2019, we arrived in New Zealand, in this beautiful country, and then the lockdown happened, coronavirus came, and luckily I was locked away in New Zealand for two years then. And in these 2 years, I had the pleasure to engage with a lot of people from the para community. And I found out that in New Zealand, there was kind of the need to elevate the movement of the Paralympic sport. And a lot of people told me, this is not possible in New Zealand. And I said, hey, wait. Impossible is nothing, actually. So I was thinking, hey, should I start something again to simply show everyone that it is possible? And then I was thinking about, well, when I do it, I will not do it in athletics, but in another sport. And then I also watched around a little bit in the environment of which sport is providing also from its organization a professional approach, because this makes the entree for me a little bit easier to progress. So are there, for instance, tournaments on a level like we know it from able bodies? And I have to tell you that I came across badminton, and badminton was pretty new in the Paralympic movement. The first appearance was 2016, and then 2020, right? When was the first appearance? Tokyo, right? Yes, 220. So it was pretty new, but I knew of all my research how professional everything went. But then I was a little bit scared, like, guys, it's a very competitive thing. There are a lot of countries, especially Asian Indians. My God, there are thousands of players, and how should I make it, right? But yeah, then Wojtek came and started to train. And yeah, it ended up of me qualifying for Paris 2028. And to be there and to be an ambassador for the sport, an ambassador for my new nation, which is New Zealand, and elevating the Paralympic movement in my age, and still surviving it on the body, was making me incredibly proud. And yeah, resulting with sitting here today. What else do I want?
Thank you for sharing that, Wojciech. And in the IPC president's video message, he mentioned some highlights for him from Paris: increased broadcast, increased spectators, increased viewership. So we're seeing a lot more of para-badminton and inclusive sport in the news nowadays, which is fantastic. And there were a few big stories coming out of the Olympics and Paralympics in badminton. There were a few proposals, one in badminton, one in para-badminton. But there was a huge story that really elevated and kind of blew up our communication channels, certainly. I think Lloyd would agree. And that was the connection that you have with Jürgen Klopp, and that he attended the games specifically to support you. So could you tell us a little bit about that relationship and where that came from? And importantly, what did he think of para-badminton at the games? What were his impressions?
Yeah. Therefore, so Jürgen and I are friends since actually I lost my leg. Jürgen just became the coach of FSV Mainz 05 when I lost my leg, and we were basically, or I was living not far away from his city. So he was reading about my story, and he directly decided we need to help this guy. We need to support him. We want to at least make a game for him, to collect some money maybe for prosthetic or whatever. And this was the day I met him, and since day we keep the contact. But furthermore, when I progressed as an athlete, he progressed as a coach, and we had the same sponsors. So, and there were a lot of events. We met each other and dissed each other out. What are you doing? You again didn't make it in the first league, and so it was kind of always an incredible relationship. And we over the years always supported each other. And then when I called him one day, I said, Jürgen, listen, I have a crazy idea. What do you think about that one? So I don't know if you know his laugh when he's laughing, right? I think I had to put down the phone because he laughed for, I think, 2 minutes when I told him, hey, I want to go to Paris and I have only 2.5 years. I said, are you completely nuts? And then but I explained him why. And he said, Wojciech, if you really can do that, if you really make it to Paris, I promise you here today, I will be there and celebrating it independently. If you win or lose, I don't care. But to make that happen. And this is why Jürgen came to Paris. And for him, actually, really, it was the first time since years he simply could, because he had the time. And I know, we talked already before that the Paralympics were always something very special, because you have a lot of very interesting stories in the Paralympics. And when he arrived and he saw also, Paris, I have to tell you, big chapeau. The stadium, incredible. The crowds, incredible. Set up, everything, simply fantastic. Enjoying, except my performance could have been a little bit better. But to be there and, to see Jürgen, and through Jürgen also, the sign and the message, guys, take care of these people, because they have incredible stories. They are performing on the world stage, and it's a pleasure to be here. And he was so enjoying it. Actually, he wanted to stay one day. He stayed 2, because he said, I need to see more. I want that. And it's always funny to see the management be, okay, we will do it. So no, he really enjoyed the time. And I think you could see it, you could feel it, you could read it. And it was, I think, a great sign for us, for para-badminton, to have him there and to ambassador for us.
Thank you, Wojciech.
John, you've got to follow that, so I'm going to ask a question to you. You are Head of Continental Development at the BWF, and within your role, amongst other things, you work across both para-badminton and also Special Olympics. So in terms of development and the work we're doing with both Special Olympics International and the International Paralympic Committee, are the approaches similar or do they differ?
I mean, I think there are some differences, but generally speaking, it's badminton, and we're trying to develop badminton. Everyone in this room is trying to develop badminton, whether it's para-badminton, Special Olympics, badminton. So there's a big focus on trying not to duplicate efforts. We're trying to look at existing structures that are in place and how we can integrate people with disability into those structures. So where you have clubs, where you have schools badminton, where you have schools competitions, can we integrate people with disability into those opportunities? That often comes down to having good partnerships. We've spoken about our partnership at the international level with both the IPC and the International Paralympic Committee and Special Olympics, sorry. But we want that to filter down to the continental level. We want our 5 CCs to be working closely with their counterparts in Special Olympics and in the para-sport movement. And then at the national level, to reinforce the IPC President's message, we need you to be working with your national Special Olympics programs and with your NPCs. And together, I think we can then create these opportunities for participation, competition, integration. So a lot of similarities.
And what would you say are the key areas of focus for you over the next 4 years?
I'll just give 2 points for each, if that's okay. I'll keep it quite short. But I think on the Special Olympics side, we're very well established in the World Games now, and we'll be part of the next World Games in Santiago. But we need something sitting below that. We need to have a competition structure that allows more opportunity for athletes like Jonathan to participate on a more regular basis. So there's going to be a focus on trying to create more regional competitions. We already had a fantastic event last year. The Special Olympics Latin America Games had badminton for the first time. This year we'll have, as part of Special Olympics Asia Pacific, a badminton competition. So can we create more opportunities at the regional level, but then also drilling down to the national level? And then the second area, and I don't want to spoil John Paul's question that's coming up, but unified badminton, I see that as a great opportunity for us and for you to really promote the sport and to elevate the sport. And then on the Paralympic side, for me, we have some really good structures in place. I think we've seen the participation grow, the number of member associations with Special Olympics and para-badminton programs is growing. And we have talent that is out there and available. So for me, in the para side of things, looking at creating those pathways for talented athletes to really excel and fulfill their potential. And I think from Paris, one of the other fantastic stories was a first Olympic or Paralympic medal for the African continent and from Nigeria, where we know that there's talented athletes out there across all 5 continents, and what structures can we put in place to identify that talent and then nurture that talent and see them at the Paralympic Games in LA and then, as Andrew Parsons said, in Brisbane in 2032.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you.
And I now get to throw a question back to you, Fern, so it's 1 for 1. You've been working with BWF for just about 2 years now, I think, and you're working in the tournament development area, of which para-badminton is one part of your remit. Could you give us, just in those 2 years, kind of what have been some of the highlights in terms of para-badminton and tournament development for you?
Yeah, thanks very much, John. I mean, the first thing that I'm definitely going to talk about is Paris. Because, I mean, Paris was amazing. So I was lucky enough to actually be in Tokyo. So I think Tokyo was the first time that para-badminton was included in the Paralympic Games. And there was a lot of excitement about that. And then COVID happened and the Games was postponed. We eventually got to the point in time where the Games was going to take place. And I know from the athletes that were there that they were very, very excited to go in and compete. And actually, I remember being there and having some very, very nervous athletes before they walked out onto the field of play. But unfortunately, as fantastic as Tokyo was, there were no spectators. Fast forward 3 years' time to Paris, And I mean, the standard of competition, standard of play had increased, I think, from Tokyo. But for me, I really felt like the athletes got their moment to walk out in front of a full, loud crowd and show exactly what para badminton is all about. It is fast, it is exciting, and I think that we have an absolutely fantastic para sport. So Paris, for me, was a fantastic experience. So that's my first one. The next one, I think, actually, after Paris, we were not sure how much interest there would be for member associations to look to host para badminton tournaments. We didn't know if they would want to do it. And actually, what we found in the most recent cycle is that there is increasing interest from all of you, to look to see how you can get involved and how you can look to run a para badminton tournament internationally. And I think that's really exciting. It comes with some challenges. Obviously, we need to make sure that we have enough para athletes to compete in those tournaments, and that's something that we're looking to work towards as well. And my last one is a tournament that was run in partnership with the ISF, so the International Schools Federation. And there was an iteration in Bahrain towards the end of last year, and then more recently in Serbia, an under-15s competition took place. And para badminton was included for the first time. So this is school-age participants. And the thing that was so amazing, special about this is that it was para badminton alongside badminton. So you didn't just have badminton athletes on courts, you had para badminton players right alongside them, right next to them, competing in exactly the same space. And I think at under-15s as well, at that age, giving the para athletes, the school age participants, the opportunity to take part in a multi-sport event, actually that experience is something that they will never forget. So individual events, they did a team event also, team cheer. Some of the para athletes gave the medals in the medal ceremonies, and just a fantastic tournament. So
fantastic. And you touched on the hosting of tournaments, para badminton tournaments, and we have a para badminton world circuit that was launched a few years ago. And for member associations that are maybe looking or interested in hosting or looking to send athletes to an international para badminton event, could you just maybe give us an overview of the circuit and what that looks like?
Yeah, thank you, John. I'm going to talk about the world circuit now. So for BWF, that is 3 levels of tournament. So you have your level 1, your level 2, and your level 3. Level 1 is your top 12 ranked players across all sport classes competing. So it's the top part of the pyramid. Level 2, open to as many players, as many entries as we can get at the moment, and is bridging the gap between the top athletes and then new athletes coming into the pathway. And then for us, level 3 is that first international experience that you can have as a para athlete. So that, in a nutshell, is para badminton world circuit. But I also just want to touch on national tournaments. So for me as well, we're doing this at BWF level, but what I think is really important is what are all of you doing for your tournaments at the national level. And I think that sometimes there can be an apprehension around hosting a para badminton tournament. It can feel perhaps a little bit scary. You may not have enough athletes in a particular sport class to feel like you should be putting it on, but there are so many different ways that you can do this. You could integrate within your badminton national tournaments and have the opportunity for athletes with a disability to participate. So you could partner with some of the neighboring countries and put on a smaller tournament with multiple countries. But I would challenge you to think about if you're not doing something at a tournament level, at a competitive level for para badminton, what could you start to think about to do with that? And I mean, I'm very happy to talk to any of you about this if you have any questions. And then I think the last point for me on this one is just actually the power of a tournament is that you can use it for so much more than just competition. Actually, you can connect it to education, you can connect it to coach development, you can do workshops alongside it, and it becomes a central hub for so many other things to break off from it. So the power of a tournament at whatever level, be it school level, national level, international level, to inspire, to connect, and to create legacy. Hopefully you can tell I'm very passionate about tournaments.
Did she seem passionate? I would say so, yes. Thank you, Pam. In my priorities, just turning it back to John Paul now, in my priorities for the next 4 years in Special Olympics, I mentioned unified sport and unified badminton particularly. But again, for those that are maybe not aware, could you give us an overview of what unified sport is in Special Olympics?
Yeah, so our unified sports format is when we bring players with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities to be on teams together as equal teammates, with the idea that being part of a team, training together, competing together is a pathway towards building bonds, creating friendships, which should translate into fostering and promotion of social inclusion off the court. That's the primary objective of our unified sports program. In addition, we as an organization have a very clear and urgent message about positively changing attitudes towards people with IDD. And what we found was we needed to be more relevant to more people outside of the existing support group, being family members, special education teachers. We need to get more people involved in our organization. So creating this learning opportunity for people who haven't had any engagement with somebody with IDD through sport, through play, was a way to become more relevant to more people. And again, achieve our mission of nurturing a learning environment around inclusion and having people have those firsthand experiences through sport.
Fantastic. And I think we have a video example from Special Olympics Arizona that we can share with you now. So Erica, the video, please.
This is Team State. This is my favorite event. So every team brings their top 3 doubles pairs, and we just face off as a school.
It was fun.
It was good. We had a really good game. It was, I think, 26-24. I've just made so many new friends. Like, I never knew Will, but now me and Will are like best friends.
And give them the opportunity for the athletes to compete. It's amazing. The kids work so hard. We have both silver and gold divisions on our campus, and just watching them grow from day 1 until May, it's a rewarding experience.
Being in the unified program just shows that there are people who care about other people, and it's a lot of diversity, and it just really shows a great place for people in school.
It's been really great. The people here are amazing. Everybody's nice to each other. It's really fun. I really like it.
Yeah, I love all the people I meet and all the friends I make. I'm glad I got brought into it because it's like really fun and enjoy watching people be happy playing sports.
Westwood has built up a good unified community over the past few years. It's gotten stronger. And I think badminton is a sport that is easier for more people to have fun with.
Recognizing that different isn't bad, that we can all just be part of this big unified family, because these kids really want to thrive and grow, and they need your help, and they also teach you a lot, so it's kind of a mutual relationship that you both benefit from, and I think that's just so incredible because you don't get that anywhere else.
I just think having an empathy and understanding of that everyone comes from a different place and a different spot, and just seeing the smiles on everyone's face at the end of the day is worth it.
Yeah, that's a great video and a good example of there's different ways to integrate unified sports programming. In that specific example, it's in a school system. And we've done a lot of work to engage youth through the school systems Because what we found is when we create unified sports programs in schools in this day of severe mental health issues, bullying that goes on in schools, we have found when we have a unified sports program in a school, not only does it change the way people with ID are treated, but anybody within the school system that may be different in some way or another. So this is a really important, compelling program of ours to, again, make a difference off the court through sport.
And John Paul, can I ask, what would you say some of the benefits of the partnerships that you've seen between Special Olympics and our member associations? What's been good about that?
Yeah, so I think first I had the privilege, Jonathan and I, to sit in on the Pan Am meeting yesterday and listening to the different presentations. And Beto from Brazil brought up this whole idea of how important it is to have participation data when you're talking about looking for funders and looking for sponsors and growing numbers in the sport and making sport, again, more accessible, more relevant to more people. We are part of that equation. So I think that's first. As we have, as we said, 137,000 badminton players in Special Olympics, but within the world, there's about 3% of the population has an intellectual disability. So that's somewhere in the means of 200 million. So while I can tell you that, and you've heard from Jonathan, that it's the right thing to do, it's also from a business side an important thing to do because our numbers are your numbers. And when we grow the sport of badminton, whether it's in Special Olympics or not, you're creating more opportunities for funders to want to invest in the sport. So that's first. Second, I would say, the inspirational stories. You've heard Jonathan's testimonial. We have lots of stories about sport literally changing people's lives. And we believe in the transformative power of badminton to be able to do that. And we want to share those stories and collaborate with you. So as John said, we have a great event coming up in Santiago in 2027 in October, our next World Games, which will, badminton's one of the feature sports. We hope by that point we will have enough programs that it will be a level 1 sport for us by that time. And so we invite you all to be part of that storytelling and of the journey of the athletes that are going to be preparing and hopefully with support of the national member associations to be part of that event in Santiago.
Thank you very much, John Paul.
Wang Yihan, a final question from my side for you. You've obviously been involved in the high performance elite side of the sport. You're now very much giving back to the development side of the sport. Do you have a message for our national federations here today about how you see their role in providing opportunities for people with disability to participate in sport?
我一直知道世界羽联一直致力于推进与深度参与这个特奥会羽毛球项目的一些支持和发展。我也希望有更多的这个世界各界这个组织、各界人士能够一同来参与到这个关注到这类人群当中，也就是那个。 给到他们更多的这个力量，更多的关爱，更多的支持帮助。好，谢谢。
谢谢 Thank you.
And Wojciech, last question for you. So you've completed your BWF Level 1 coaching course, I believe, and I think there are plans for you to be more involved in Oceania with para badminton, which is absolutely fantastic. Can you just tell us a little bit more about why you've decided that you want to give back to the sport and the benefits that you see for others?
Oh yeah, certainly. If you maybe don't know, I coached on a high performance basis in athletics after I retired for a certain time, and I did a big mistake to coach my own wife. She was an able-bodied high jumper, and Jesus, you have to know, if you survive to coach your Italian wife for 2 years, you know you're made for each other, and we are celebrating now the 10th anniversary. So, yeah, it was a good introduction into coaching for me. But then, I'm not getting younger, right? So after Paris, I definitely also was thinking, what do I do? And thankfully, to Badminton Oceania, I could attend a BWF 1 level 1 course, which was incredible. And, you know, giving back means you do it because you like it, right? And I had an incredible hard time the last 3 years, but it was at the same time so great because there are so many great people. And to give a little bit, because yeah, it's not so much I'm doing, but as much as I can, to give something to the para badminton community, which includes for sure athletes, but also to, you know, to go direction inclusion, to provide guidance on inclusions or ambassadorship. And I will give you an example how this is working, because it starts actually here in this hall. You know, we have a lot of wonderful people here, very, very busy. We are doing a sport which unfortunately is not bringing us hundreds of millions of profits. And we have to jungle everything around that our association is working, that we survive. And para badminton is really a small part on our agenda. And sometimes it comes a little bit short, understandable. But let me tell you one thing, inclusion. It happened yesterday for me when, I don't know if you know, we have downstairs 2 courts. And I decided I want to have a game. And I went to these courts and there were wonderful people. But they saw me on a prosthetic leg and they said, what? Oh, fear. And then I helped these people to understand, because they basically stopped to play. And I asked, hey, who wants to have a hit? And they were like, okay, how do we do that? And I said, come, on court. And then there was a girl, poor girl, came on court, was a little bit afraid. But after 5 minutes, the better player who was sitting down was already, can I try? Because the girl was a little bit overwhelmed. So after 10 minutes, we had a doubles. After 1 hour, where's my doubles partner? Somewhere over there. I think after 1.5 hours, we had to dry the tears of our opponents because they get smacked so badly. Wait, it's not over. After 14 hours, today in the morning, I think I have a waiting list of people who wants to play me today. That's inclusion. And I have to tell you one more thing. As a marketer, I went recently to P&G to help a little bit, to show a little bit and support. We had at this, I was there for 1 week. We had an appearance in the news, in the main news at 6 p.m. for 7 minutes. 7 minutes they were talking about para badminton and inclusion. You have such a unique point of selling when you use para. It's incredible how much money you can do. So to be here and to advocating for that, because I really believe para badminton is such an incredible sport, not only inclusive, it's also demanding. It's damn hard. Let me tell you, I know that. So it's such a great sport. We have with BWF someone who really is dedicating time and effort to provide a level for the paras like able bodies. Surely we are not there yet. We still have to work on it. But we can only do this with your help, and it starts at home. It starts with the engagement with your para community and build up something. So I hope that next year I can be here again and working on my waiting list for the games and give you another lesson on the badminton court. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of the session. The 45 minutes has flown in. I'd just like to thank Jonathan, John Paul, Wang Yihan, Wojtek, and my co-host Fern for sharing your experiences.
I'll just finish very, very quickly. So inclusive badminton, it should not be a side project. It's not a special program. It's a mindset and it is a responsibility. It's about making sure that every child, every player, every person has a place in our sport, whether on the court, behind the scenes, or in the stands. So I think we hope that this session has made you think, what more can we do to ensure that badminton truly is for all? Thank you.
And I'd like to ask Jonathan if you could come back up to the stage, and we'd like to present a small token of appreciation to our panelists today.